Hey you guys, Steph here and welcome to a brand new video. And you saw the title right. Today we'll be taking a look at Samus Returns for the 3DS and not Metroid Fusion. I texted a couple of my buddies that watch my videos and we got to the consensus that it would be best if I covered the games in the same order as the Metroid timeline in order to get the story straight. And the end of the night, if you want to see the games on release order, you can watch the videos once the marathon is done. So, without much further ado, here's Metroid 2, aka Samus Returns. Remember, there are timestamps on the video so you can watch the gameplay section if that's what you're into. But let's get started. The original Metroid 2 was released on the original Game Boy in 1991 and featured a really simple plot in its game manual. Samus is tasked by the Galactic Federation to go to the Metroid's home planet SR-388 to look for the missing Federation soldiers and to eradicate the Metroid race. A pretty bare-bone plot if you ask me, but thanks to the remake, we got a better story to tell you guys. So, let's do this again. You see, it's been a while since Samus took down the space pirates in planet Zebes. In fact, Samus Returns takes place after the entirety of the Prime series, meaning that this Samus we see right here is a well more seasoned bounty hunter than when we saw her in Zero Mission. After the Phase-On crisis, the Galactic Federation grew concerned that the Metroids could pose an enormous threat to galactic civilization, and so they decided that it would be best to eradicate the Metroids once and for all in order to avoid people using them for galactic domination. The Federation sent a platoon to their origin planet SR-388 to start the Metroid Purge, but they quickly lost contact with them. Needing to carry out the extermination and finding out what happened to the soldiers, the Federation calls Samus so she can find out what happened to the platoon and destroy the Metroids. Since at this point in the timeline, Samus knows very well how to defeat the Metroids. When she gets to SR-388, Samus finds out that the Federation soldiers are all dead and that the planet features Chozo architecture and mechanisms that require Metroid DNA in order to progress through the planet. Samus begins the hunt for the Metroids, but not before finding out that said Metroids are able to evolve away from the more known larvae forms. Samus goes around the planet, collecting power-ups, finding Chozo ruins, defeating the wildlife of the planet, destroying an annoying tunnel bud, and destroying Metroids of various sizes, including the Metroid Queen. After the purge is set, Samus encounters a lone Metroid larvae that just hatched from an egg. Samus tries to kill it, but she realizes that this Metroid is not hostile at all, and even confuses her for its mother. So Samus stands down and decides to take the baby Metroid with her. On the surface of SR-388, Samus is ambushed by Ridley trying to take away the baby Metroid, which features pieces of his Omega form from Prime 3. Samus dukes it out with him, but when he gets the upper hand on her, the baby Metroid starts helping her take down the purple pterodactyl for a really fun boss fight. Once defeated, Samus leaves the planet with the last surviving Metroid in the universe. Now, this revamped plot feels more like it. I love the way how they integrated Ridley as a connector between the original Metroid series and the Prime series. A really nice touch. But that is not all. By completing the game 100%, you gain access to the Chozo Memories, a set of images that tell the backstory of the whole planet. So the story of SR-388 goes like this. The Chozo discovered the planet and decided to colonize it. They used some tunnel bots and the Gargantuan Digger bot to create passages inside the planet. Here they found a brand new type of energy called Aeion, which brings the true potential of everything that is imbued by it. But going deeper into the planet, the Chozo encountered a gelatinous organism that is able to assimilate and control the wildlife of the planet, mutating them and making them more aggressive. These parasites were named the X, and fearing the threat they pose to both the Chozo in SR-388 and the galaxy in general, the Chozo decided to create the ultimate warrior in their words, the apex hunters of these new species, the Metroids. These larvae were created for the sole purpose of being the natural hunter of the X parasites, devouring any flying gelatinous form that appeared around the planet. After purging the majority of the X, we found out that the Metroids were docile creatures that followed the orders of their creators, but the Aeion inside the planet was able to change them, evolve them beyond their docile forms into more aggressive monsters. The Chozo needed to seal the Metroids inside the planet so they may never become a threat to the galaxy. The Chozo created the Chozo seals and flooded every single entrance to any sector of the planet. To open the seals, you required Metroid DNA in order to open them. After escaping the cave system of SR-388, on the surface, the surviving Chozo were found by another Chozo tribe who presumably arrived to save them, but not quite. These Chozo ruthlessly massacred their compatriots and left SR-388 like nothing ever happened. These Chozo memories are beautifully illustrated and are important to the plot of Dread, because one of the Chozo that appeared in these pictures is definitely going to appear as a main plot point in Metroid Dread. But that's enough about the story, let's talk about the gameplay. Before this game rolled around, Samus had a very basic moveset. She could jump, somersault, shoot in 8 directions. It was pretty straightforward. Later down the line, she got access to wall jumping as a given trait of hers. In Samus Returns, Samus gets a couple of new moves: the free shooting mode, the melee counter, and the Aeion Abilities. Free aiming is just awesome. It adds a new layer of combat in every fight and was something that I was using all the time during my playthrough. The only bad thing is that you need to stay completely still while aiming in any direction. The melee counter, however, is also very fun and adds a lot to the gameplay. Now, in this game, most enemies want to attack you, flashing wide before pouncing. By using the melee counter at the right moment, you stun them, allowing you to deal massive damage to them. The only bad thing about the melee counter is that you can't move while doing it, something that is getting corrected in Dread with the free aiming coming back. Finally, we can talk about the Aeion Abilities. These abilities are given to Samus as a new gimmick for this game. These range from a radar that shows you nearby rooms and collectibles, a time-slowing mechanic, an all-powerful armor that makes you impervious to damage, and a hyperdrive mode for shooting your regular beam, making you shoot in rapid fire like it's a fucking Gatling gun. Together, they are fun mechanics that makes the game a little bit more dynamic. Funnily enough, the ice beam in this game is separate from other beams. Previously, they are all merged together, but here is the only exception aside from the Prime series. Aside from the new moves, the controllers in this game are fucking sparkling. By this point, I've played every single 2D Metroid game, and this one is the most snappy and fluid game in the franchise. This is the only Metroid game I feel that I'm absolutely in control, and every time I got killed or missed a jump was sincerely my fault. There are certain mechanics in other games that are so finicky that you just feel like your controller is broken, and I felt none of that here in Samus Returns. But I did feel something in particular, that this is a hardest balls Metroid game. Bar none, the hardest in the series. Bosses only need a couple of good hits to drain your HP bar, especially Trashbot here, and every single enemy wants to pummel your face in. And this, mind you, is in normal mode. There's a harder mode and fusion mode if you have the amiibo. In all fairness, both health pickups and missile refills are plentiful around the game, so you may find some leeway here and there, but I really don't recommend this game for starters. Like, play anything else. This might alienate you and make you not want to play the Metroid games in general. On the other hand, exploration became pure bliss compared to other Metroid games, since Samus Returns features teleporting stations that allow you to instantly travel inside a zone and in between any zone in the game, making both the journey and backtracking that much smoother. Overall, I have to say that Samus Returns is a really good game, albeit a little repetitive. In this game, 80% of the bosses here are evolved Metroids, Beta, Gamma, and Omega variants. And you fight these enemies multiple times in every single zone in the game. Sure, there are like 3 Omega Metroids in the whole game, so their fights stay pretty fresh, but not completely. Beta Metroids are the most plentiful and become obsolete once Gamma Metroids showed up, and these guys are plain boring. I sorely dislike them, mainly because if you don't land the counter, they take an ungodly amount of time to take out. Other bosses in this game are the Diggerbot, which is kinda hard because you need to master movement and everything to destroy it. And on the other side, you have Ridley, that is a really good boss fight, but comes way late into the game. And the other thing that you have is like this armadillo thing that I don't think is pretty original. I didn't think much about him, and it's going to be a miracle if I show footage from his fight here, because I think he appeared like in the second sector and we forgot about him. But as I said before, Samus Returns is fantastic and easily became my second favorite Metroid game due to the controls, exploration, and modernization of the franchise's main mechanics. I'm really glad I played this one. But now it's the time to go to the granddaddy of the Metroidvanias. We're going to the Super Nintendo to play Super Metroid, and find out why not a single respecting member of the Metroid community recommends them for beginners of the franchise. Once again, if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of my content, consider subscribing, and I will see you once again when we cover Super Metroid.